Hey guys, it's Dreamer Pat. Hope you guys are having a beautiful day. So, the question I got asked is, what are some tips? What are some things to avoid? Can you tell me more about calorie counting? And I actually really like this question because calorie counting is it's really common and there's a lot of misconceptions about it. And I think the worst thing about it is you can really drive yourself to an early grave just overdoing it, honestly. Um, so so again, first things first, just some helpful tips for doing it. First and foremost, set like a realistic goal. Don't set something that is far fetched, not gonna happen, or so it goes with both ends of the spectrum. So let's say you're trying to build muscle. Don't set a goal that is okay. It's my first time doing it. I'm jumping off the bat. I'm gonna go get 5,000 calories every day for the next 2 weeks. You can do it. It is very much possible, but realistically, and this is from personal experience, when you're starting a journey like that, you really got to build yourself up to it. Because what tends to happen is you start to hate food or you overspend on stuff like supplements or anything like that. Now, let's flip it. Let's say you're trying to lose weight, which is obviously a little more common. But let's say you're trying to lose weight and you set a goal like, I'm going to eat only 300, 400, 500 calories a day. Again, the problem with that is, one, that's just not the way to do it. You might see some initial results in the get-go, you might, but at some point your body is going to hit a wall like there's no tomorrow. It's going to be very difficult to get out of it. Or the worst case scenario, you start to starve yourself. And I strongly recommend not to do that. And actually works more counterproductively than you think. So that's my first tip for that. My second tip is take advantage of technology. Like, technology nowadays has there's so many apps, so many everything. Use me. I mean, if you're not sure, again, make it as easy as humanly possible. Do I recommend actually like physically writing the stuff down? Honestly, this day and age, you don't really got to be honest. But I will say this, be honest with what you're actually eating, because what tends to happen is we eat like one cookie and we're like, it's only one cookie, who cares, it's not a big deal. Or we just take little small amounts of everything and we think that doesn't add up in the long run. And I will say this, understanding your body, understanding how your body reacts to certain foods is extremely important for that reason alone. So again, when you're doing stuff like calorie counting, make sure it's realistic, keep it real with yourself. And my last tip for that, when you're doing calorie counting, please, don't do it to the point. And again, I'm going to put a disclaimer out there, unless you're competing, which is a little different. But don't do it to the point where you actually, like, drive yourself mad. Something that I see often and with either my clients or, usually with my clients is when we introduce things such as, like, calories and all that other stuff, there's this weird notion that absolute least amount of calories is the way to go. And we almost tend to punish ourselves when we feel like we go over it. And you should never use food as a punishment system, because it's food. You need it to survive, let's be honest. So again, that's my really big tips for that. But my biggest thing is, don't do it to the point where it gets depressing, guys. Like, you really can put yourself in an early grave doing it, and it really can, like, just mess with your mind. I will say this, if you are going to do some, like, for real calorie counting, make sure that I would just use apps and just match things up as best you can. And be honest, if you ate 3 crackers or 4 crackers or 5 bars or 4 ounces or whatever, notate that. And traditionally, apps nowadays, they have the serving sizes in there. And when you're actually going to eat, let's say, 4 ounces of chicken breast, and again, not a lot of people do this, but again, it's just what degree of what you're trying, like how bad you want that goal and how you want to go about it. Because personally, I don't always recommend my clients to weigh out their food, because it's more of let's progress to it versus let's do that off the bat. So yes, measure out your food and get as close to your portion sizes as you can. One of the big cautions I will say is it really just goes back to the punishment system. Like, you should never view calories or food or anything like that as a punishment system. Don't ever punish yourself. Enjoy yourself and make conscious decisions. That's really, the end goal, in my opinion, of doing calorie counting is to learn how to make conscious decisions about what you're eating. And as you learn it, you get you get better idea of what you're trying to eat, you know, what you need to avoid, what's a calorie deficit, how much is too much, you know. So that's really the main goal of why we do that. So yeah, so I'm gonna put some more tips down below, as well as some links you can look at to, you know, kind of get a better idea. And you can actually read my blog too. I'm gonna go in a little more detail about calorie counting. But big thing, please, 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 don't do it to the point where you get depressed, because it really can be like a very destructive mindset. So yeah, hope you guys enjoy the video, and that's it. Sorry, I was chewing gum. All right, bye.